Ragazzi, welcome to the latest episode of the Fratelli di Rugby podcast. I'm joined, me, Marcello, as ever, by Mike and Ottavio. How are we, boys? Are we okay? Enjoy that weekend of rugby. How good was that?
How good. How happy I was with the second result. France home. Back home. I was happy. I'm sorry, I was happy.
Oh,
I was happy for
no.
my South African friends.
Oh.
I was on that. I was with the bad guys, right? The bad guys with the South Africans, my friends.
You love their style of play, though, don't you? Like you're an avid. You scratch under the surface, and you got a bit of green about you.
I just finished to write an article. You know for who? For Longo Match, my favorite software, because tomorrow is gonna be out an article about the kicking game of South Africa and two quarterfinals, Ireland, New Zealand. That side, the Paris games. So, thanks Longo Match for having me, and don't forget to go check longomatch.com. Always good to know. Yes, I was speaking about South Africa.
Good plug. Well done.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think each one of those quarterfinals could have been a final. I mean, like in their own right.
Guys, we should probably introduce our guest at this point.
Yes.
Yes.
Do it.
Probably quite a good idea, isn't it? We were invited by Lupo is his name. Lupo, Josh. Josh, how are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, good. You're right, gents.
Thank you for joining us. Yes, this is our pod to look ahead to the URC kicking off this weekend, and we've managed to get a Zebra fan on to talk with us about that. But we are just briefly touching on the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals. Josh, what did you make of those? I mean, for me, particularly that South Africa-France quarterfinal first half, easily the best half rugby I've ever seen in my life. Now, Ottavio's probably different. He probably likes it when it's all technical and tactical and it's all boring. But I love that first half. For me, it's just pure rugby heaven, that was. What about you?
Going into this weekend, I've said quite out loud, all those games were 50-50. You couldn't write any team off. Either any of them could have won. I agree with Mike when he said that those two quarterfinals in particular were final level matches. They're cracking, absolutely cracking matches.
Which probably means we're going to get two relatively straightforward results this weekend, right?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Money would say yes, put money on South Africa and New Zealand, but
who knows? Who knows in sport? And like we have mentioned, look, we're all speaking pretty good English, but it's fair to say that none of us really want England to win. That's fair to say.
I've said I'm in all Northern Hemisphere. I said this from the start. I am.
Oh yeah, even so am I, Mike. But I'm not having England winning it. No way.
Even so, change the hemisphere, turn the globe around.
Yeah.
No, I can't do it. I genuinely can't go another 4 years with either South Africa or Kiwi fan. I can't.
Not England. You want English rugby fans to enjoy? Oh no, no.
I can't. I mean, I just can't. Like, and also, I think, and boys, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I the only one that thought this year was the Northern Hemisphere year? I genuinely thought we were going to have an all Northern Hemisphere semi-final, and once again, it looks like we're in a position where we have underperformed to our ability collectively as a Northern Hemisphere side, and the Southern Hemisphere teams have stepped up like they always do. Like they are tournament teams.
You could say that. However, those two games that France and Ireland lost could have so easily been the opposite result. And those two games of rugby, both sides played. All four sides played so well, and then if it had changed, it would have been Northern Hemisphere that just rules the whole World Cup. So I'm not sure that Northern Hemisphere sides haven't stepped up. I just think they were on the other end of New Zealand and South Africa just playing up to their 100% best, and they were. Yeah,
Those matches were so close. If they were played the next day or earlier in the day, whatever it was, they could have quite easily gone the other way.
Because after 5 minutes, I thought France were gonna just not steamroll, but I thought France were just they weren't going to lose that game. I really didn't think they were going to lose that game. But there we go, Springboks just cannot write them off. So there we go. Mike's waving his English flag this weekend. Then whilst I do get your point though. I am quite gutted. I am gutted that France on there. I really am. Obviously, I'd love Wales to have been there. But given Wales were I saw something on Twitter that if Wales had got through to play New Zealand in the semi-final, they'd have been without Dan Biggar, George North, Liam Williams, Louis Rees-Zammit, and one other player. So we'd have been fucked either way.
Josh Adams,
good.
Did you say?
Yeah, so probably quite good that we didn't progress. But the fact that it's going to be same old, probably New Zealand, South Africa, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, Mike. And it is a shame that this World Cup in France just doesn't have the hosts here. Well, Ottavio will be waving his South African flag as well, boys.
Man, my Italian flag is usually against France. Historically, we always go against France. So I'm just being really stereotypical about my Transalpini brothers, cousins, whatever. I'm going there. We have Zidane in the middle, Materazzi, Napoleon, the Mona Lisa Gioconda. So I'm just playing that game, and I love when I go with the most hateful from the most team is South Africa at the moment. With England, well, tough, to be the worst, but I always love them. I love their approach in rugby. I went to watch them. I love them in Marseille against Scotland. So, you know what? Let's go with the aerial battle. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think South Africa could play the way they did against France, in all honesty. I'm willing to concede that South Africa are actually just a very, very good rugby team after watching them in that quarterfinal, because I wasn't sure they could play like that, and they did. So I can't really have too many arguments. Does anyone have any case for Argentina or England getting through, other than sort of something shocking happening?
I was going to say I'm waving the Argentina flag and hoping, but that's going to be an uphill battle and a half, beating them in New Zealand. So there's always
the fear's not there anymore, is it?
No.
Yeah. I think that again, similar to the quarters, a lot of them are going to be how people play on, how people play the ref and all of those little factors that it sounds like almost like it's a media trained answer, but like the refs have so much influence now. That said, the same way South Africa had a slightly easier route than England in the 2019 World Cup final, it's now turned on its head, because obviously in that World Cup, England had to beat Argentina, Australia, and then they faltered at South Africa. England have an easier route, which means actually they might have slightly fresher legs, and you know how much I love talking about legs, March, but it's a tournament game. It's what happens. Like, if you have an easier route to the final, and if you manage to recover quicker from games, you are going to have a better performance. That's the way it works at knockout rugby. So who knows, man? Who knows? I would love to see a Northern Hemisphere team in the final. That's all I'm saying. I would love it.
Oh dear. Oh well, someone has to.
Life is hard, March.
Yeah. Either way, it's not what I'd hoped it would be for this stage. But there we go. There we are. Enough to talk about the internationals. Super League.
Super League.
Super League.
We do have to touch on it. I'm not, me personally, I'm pretty sure it has not been squashed officially, but it's something that's been talked about, this idea that a Super League, like in football with the European Super League, putting all of the top sides into a division, including Italian and South African sides, with the top teams from England and France. into some Super League and having relegation and promotion, and that's been talked about. Mike, you've been across this a little bit more than myself, and you are a big fan of it if it was to go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's quite palatable from a marketing standpoint. I think one of the core issues from like a product of rugby is that it's so dispersed and like the quality varies so heavily from league to league. So why would a broadcaster pay a large amount of money for 5-6 different leagues? So actually the URC obviously has proven as a product that it's really attractive to investors. It's one of the most invested in leagues bar the French league, and it's growing. It's a growing league. It's economically very strong, and from a selfish standpoint, if how do we improve that drastically in the short term? The short term is to bring in the best teams from the Premiership and reignite some rivalries between the Welsh and the English sides of old. And that's attractive. Like people would pay for that to see that on a channel, right? So instead of having one broadcaster pay multiple different licenses for TV rights across multiple different leagues, it's sort of getting the best out of all of them. So from an economic standpoint, I love it. From a growth standpoint, it depends on how the conferences or the promotion relegation works. But if it was going to be against the national league itself, so for example with Italy, the Serie A elite would be what would dictate promotion relegation across the URC teams. It probably opens up another opportunity for a franchise first and foremost for us, and secondly it overall strengthens the level of the Serie A elite because they're going to want to play URC, right? So actually it's something to strive for. It's not just a silverware at the end. It's okay, maybe promotion and relegation playoff within Italy itself, right? So the strength of the team, the league, is dictated by the strength of the URC. I see that as quite attractive from an Italian standpoint, right? And certainly from a Welsh standpoint, because like I said, I think they're probably the ones that would benefit the most out of a league like this.
That was very well said, Mike.
Almost you convinced me, Mike. Not yet, because I don't think it's the right moment. Because I want stability from Gallagher Premiership first, and understanding how is going this project. So at least for 2-3 years, and it's economical stability of the clubs, understanding how many clubs are gonna be in the Premiership and in the Championship. And in the Championship. So if we're gonna be able to fix that, yes, let's do it. Let's open it, because also you make so happy Petrarca and Rovigo that always want to play something different and not Ealing Trailfinders on that side. Absolutely. So I want stability from the UK side, and from there then let's grow up around. That is my point of view on this. But the market is huge. South Africa is a huge market. Everything you post about rugby, it's URC somewhere else. South Africa love to cannibalize everything they saw in front of them.
I guess that is the tricky thing, is the state of rugby, the state of the English game at club level, and the state of the game at Welsh level as well, at regional level. There is so much uncertainty and seemingly so little money, and no one really knows what's happening one week to the next. So the idea of creating a Super League just sounds rather crazy when you think about the fact that there is literally zero stability. English Premiership clubs, there are still supposedly 2 or 3 that are tinkering, on the verge. So with that in mind, it seems very difficult for any sort of idea of a Super League. And that would probably be the issue, because over in France, it's obviously a lot more stable. There's plenty of money there. It's the way it works. The structure in France is what everyone strives to be like, right?
Lubo, your thoughts?
Well, France structure, they've run it as a business, and they've run it as a business for years. There's things that they do which no other league does. They have they have oversight over the finances. They have oversight. They have guarantors. They have this. They have that. They do a lot of things which no other league does, which is why they're so strong as they are now, and why they're growing into a 3, 4, eventually 5 and 6 fully professional league system. In regards to, okay, I get the argument of it might be more marketable. The Super League in football was arguably more marketable, and that got shot down really quickly. But in regards to, I mean, England's in a bit of a mess at the moment. They need to find out what they're actually going to do with the Championship sides. I know they're doing the Premiership Cup versus Championship sides, which is a bit of a how do I put it? Cop out.
A cop out.
Yeah. The Welsh are creating an elite league that should take place as of next year, to go between the Welsh Premiership and the 4 regions. Scotland have the Super Series, where they've introduced Glasgow A, Edinburgh A, and merged Scotland into it. And I hope for their sake it grows. Us with the Serie A Elite, that's not particularly stable at the moment. We've just Innocenti's making a few. We lost Calvisano. Innocenti is bringing in minimum requirements for all the teams. That's going to go down to 8 teams as of next season. They're all going to have academies. They're all going to have stadium requirements, this, that, and the other. So we're not in a position either to really push this forward.
Yeah, and it's going to need a lot of investment initially. I'm quite happy to concede that, but I do think the long-term benefits they would outweigh like the initial cost, because the reason the football Super League was so attractive was because it was the Americans who were trying to push for that, right? Because there was big American money behind it. The URC obviously has money coming from different sources, but I think actually if we're looking at and listen, we're looking at it from the big leagues, but actually what about the Georgian teams? What about the Portuguese teams? What about the Spanish teams that we're talking about from a domestic standpoint? It'd be great to see a championship or URC2 so that we could potentially have another franchise. It'd be great to have some form of pathway into the elite of the European. And yes, I know there's an argument of diminishing the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup, but they were saying about an FA Cup type sort of knockout tournament with that, and I think that sounds great as well. Like, why aren't we doing that now? Like, why is it that we're waiting for a certain requirements to be hit from a league structure to dictate who is able to play and qualify for this for those cups? Why shouldn't it be like a FA style cup and just have anyone, like have a championship side potentially play in Europe? That'd be awesome. That for me, I think is like that. Even if we were taking away the Super League and saying, okay, we're not ready for it, that's not a good idea. That other idea is brilliant. Like, why aren't we doing that? Like, genuinely, why aren't we having an FA Cup type European, like a tournament? I think that's
yeah, I've always liked the idea, especially in England, of a competition where it's not groups, it's not a league table, it's just knockout rugby from the start. I mean, I get why they want to make it groups so that everyone gets a certain amount of games and everyone can make their bit of money in ticket sales and whatnot. But the idea of an FA Cup, even including Nat 1, Nat 1 champ, Premiership, potentially mixing everyone there in an ideal world is great, and that's the sporting romantic in me. But then thinking about this Super League with the rugby is that the whole problem with rugby is that we're not expanding, we're not going beyond what we've all known for so long. So having watched Uruguay and Portugal and seeing what they're capable of and the players that they're producing, and why aren't we trying to expand further afield than just keeping it amongst the elite? And I guess that is something that maybe as a sport should be looking at before we start thinking about just trying to create something more super than another super thing. It's just that's how super can we go? Why not? Let's focus on trying to find a way of expanding beyond England, France, the Six Nations sides and their clubs in European competition.
So maybe the option can be adding new teams to the Super Cup, which is the one with Black Lion, with Lusitanos, with Tel Aviv Heat. So bringing there like one team from Italy, one team from Wales, something adding there like a development teams, something different. But so you bring good player, maybe young, but like under 23, kind of put it there against Black Lion, which is Georgia at the end, or Lusitanos, which is Portugal, or Iberians and the Romanian Wolves, if I'm right. And that was Delta from Amsterdam, which is a big market. Actually,
yeah.
Dutch, they are like the second buyer of tickets at the World Cup. Kind of like that. I was reading something about that. So it's crazy thinking. Cheetahs, they're gonna play in Amsterdam this year.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna be standing in Parma like they did last year. They're gonna be there, which is also strategic for the flights arriving into Amsterdam.
The language as well.
The language is there. The players are there because a lot of under 20s all in France now.
I'm still so frustrated that we turned down sending Emergenti into the Super Cup. That's such a missed opportunity.
Like the Toyota Super Cup, the one in where like that, because that was something really interesting. And Ireland brought the A team to play there. Then Franco Smith left. Everything changes, but the Super Cup was amazing to play against them. Go play against the Georgian team, young Italian prop. Let's go. Show me how you feel after a game against them, against Mamukashvili and Jalagonia and Tapladze, just to say names there. So let's see what's gonna happen, guys. But now URC is just banging at the door. Two days, and we're gonna start.
Yes, and we start with Zebra versus Ulster kicks it off, and then Benetton playing Cardiff in Wales later on the same day. And that is where we start with the domestic season, and I think that brings us quite nicely to the end of the podcast. We could sit and talk about European Super Leagues all day long, I'm sure. But brilliant. Thank you, Josh, for joining us. It was great to have you on, and the best of luck for the season going ahead. I'm sure we'll speak some more, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's been a pleasure. Mike, Ottavio, enjoy the rugby this weekend. We're all supporting different teams by the sound of it. I hope everyone enjoys themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of shit.
Oh, thank you, March. Enjoy too.
Best of luck, but better luck to my team.
For whoever we're supporting. Anyway, that brings us to an end. Thank you very much for listening, and make sure to share, subscribe to the podcast, and make sure you are following all our social medias. But for now, it's goodbye, and we will speak to you all again very soon.
Ciao, ciao.